So he led al-Qaeda. He helped orchestrate the 9/11 terror attacks. He's been dead for more than a decade thanks to the brave work of SEAL Team 6. But now Osama bin Laden is going viral. In the past 24 hours, videos began popping up on TikTok, other social platforms as well, seemingly in support of the infamous letter's contents, a letter that Osama bin Laden wrote 2 decades ago, in which he explains his reasoning for organizing the 9/11 terror attacks. The popularity led to The Guardian to remove the letter from their website, Lauren.
In reading the letter, I could only think of this tweet that I saw the other day. Under settler colonialism, any kind of resistance is branded as terrorist because the only acceptable violence is violence by the occupier.
When in reality, we're the worst country in the planet.
Insane, because this letter is so well written and so reasonably structured in an argument. Like, you got to present your findings, you got to state your cause, all of that. Like, everything he said was valid.
They threw hundreds of thousands of soldiers against us and formed an alliance with the Israelis to oppress us and occupy our land. That was the reason for our response on the 11th. I think that they took out Osama bin Laden because he was trying to open America's eyes to this illegal occupation that they're helping Israel with of the Palestinian people. And also he's holding America accountable for their part in this illegal occupation and unaliving of the Palestinians for decades.
He blames the US's support of Israel in the letter. And so what I think is so terrifying about this is 65% of Americans under 40 don't know basic facts about the Holocaust. Right. 25% of them think it's a myth. 1 in 10 think Jews caused the Holocaust. This is terrifying stuff, and I hate to say it to my Democratic friends on the panel, but it really is especially a problem among Democrats.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and unfortunately back to another edition of The Crazy. You know, just when I thought I was getting a break from the craziness, this week happens. Now, as you guys saw from the intro, I know it was a very long intro, but the reason why it was so long is because I wanted you guys to get an understanding of what my timeline has been on social media, particularly on TikTok. It's been crazy, it's been insane. And as you see from the thumbnail and from the title and from the intro, Gen Z is cray-cray. So let's get into this video. Let's dissect the craziness and talk about why this has to be the most misinformed generation, I think, of any era. And it is sad. Let's talk about it. Oh, Lord. So I wish that I could say that this is a parody, that this is just clickbait, that I'm just exaggerating, that what you see is just not really there. I'm just, you know, creating drama. And unfortunately, that's not the case. Unfortunately, this is all real. The idea that Gen Z, and it's primarily this generation, they're now trying to justify September 11th by stating that bin Laden was just trying to open our eyes about what's happening in Israel with Palestine. And that what's happening today with Hamas and Palestine is just an extension to September 11th. And we didn't get the memo back then, and now Israel is not getting the memo today. So in other words, they're excusing bin Laden's attacks, and they're also excusing Hamas's attacks. Make no mistake about it. They are 110% trying to excuse what happened on October 7th because bin Laden was woke. Now, I really, really wish that this was a really, really bad joke. Like a really bad joke, but it's not. This literally has gone viral on TikTok with so many young people just praising bin Laden and for the first time looking at him as some type of martyr because he said in his letter to America that he wanted to free Palestine. And I guess that is resonating with the generation today because, as we know, their favorite slogan is from the river to the sea. And bin Laden actually said the exact same thing in his letter.
From the river to the sea, it is an Islamic land not subject to being traded or granted to any party.
And so this newer generation, I guess, is looking at that and stating, wow, I mean, yeah, he did a bad thing. Yeah. But like, man, he was woke.
This don't sound like the letter of a terrorist to me. I don't know about y'all, but this does not sound like somebody Who wants to hurt me or my family?
Jesus, give me strength. Again, I don't even know how to address this in a normal way. Guys, I'm stumped. And that rarely happens to me, but I am stumped. I woke up and I saw these videos going viral on X, and I was like, this can't be real. So I went on TikTok to see if these users were actually real. And I typed in "Letter to America" and a bunch of videos populated. So many populated of these kids just, wow. Bin Laden opened my eyes. I see the world completely differently now. I see September 11th completely differently now.
As a U.S. citizen, it is a hard read, I will tell you, for anybody that is going to go over this with me. So I will say viewer discretion advised, because it will tug at your emotions.
Oh, I might tell a joke, but I never tell a lie. I might tell a joke, but I never tell a lie. Oh.
And the funny thing is that what he said in his letter, we are aligned with Israel, that we are the great Satan, that we are infidels, that anybody who does not follow the righteous way, which would be Islam, deserves attacks. I mean, it was pretty much the same old, same old. If you are a young adult like myself or somebody older and you lived through 9/11, you already know all of this stuff. But for some reason, Gen Z, I guess, is late to the party. And so for them, they're realizing for the first time the motives behind Al-Qaeda and Bin Laden. I guess that's what's confusing me, because I'm like, did y'all not know this? Like, were you not taught this in school? Like, how are you just not figuring out why Bin Laden hated us so much? My mind is just blown right now. It's just blown, because I never thought in my lifetime that I would ever see Americans memorializing Osama bin Laden, ever. And it's also important to know that these kids, which is what they are, they're children. I know they're young adults, but they're kids. Most of them weren't even alive during 9/11, or were too young to remember 9/11 and the effects. They were babies. And so what privilege it is to have not grown up understanding the impact of that day and how it affected so many Americans and so many of us and gave us PTSD. I did a whole video about my experience. I grew up in New York City and I lived through 9/11, not through a TV lens, but through my own eyes, because I saw everything with my own eyes. So this is very personal for me. And to hear these children, these little brats, talking about an event that will go down in history as one of the worst terrorist attacks in our nation, to hear them try to rationalize it and try to minimize it because of some greater cause, like, are you freaking kidding me right now? But you know what? In a way, I'm glad that this happened, and I'm going to tell you why. I knew that underneath the tone of the pro-Palestinian people that are all over TikTok and all over social media, that underneath that tone is this idea that what Hamas did wasn't so bad. They wouldn't say it. They won't say that. But the tone and their perspective is pretty clear where they stand. Now, they're too cowardly, like I said, to actually come out and say those words, but it's pretty clear that they don't mind what Hamas did because there was a greater good in their eyes. I mean, they sound like the terrorists, for crying out loud. And these are Americans. I knew that tone was there. I just knew it. I was like, they're not saying it, but I know that's what they feel. And that's absolutely disgusting and gross. To try to justify rape, murder, burning people alive, there is no justification for that behavior. There's none. But these kids will find a way. They will find a way. And then I came across this video. Now, this video is of a young woman who I actually highlighted in the intro of this video. In this newer video, she's talking about Hamas, and she speaks directly to the camera and addresses if she condemns Hamas or not. But rather than me paraphrase her, let's hear what she had to say in her own words.
Do I condemn Hamas? I do not condemn Hamas. I can't condemn Hamas. If we were to find out that a bunch of Jewish men all got together and they decided that they were going to fight back against the Nazis, we would see this as a heroic event in history. They're fighting for their freedom. Who am I to tell anyone who lives under an occupation, like how the Palestinians live under Israel, that they're wrong for how they choose to fight for their freedom?
Don't you just love the comparison that these Gen Z kids make when it comes to Jews and the Israel state and comparing them to Hitler and the Nazis? I mean, how out of touch do you have to be to think that that comparison is okay, or that it even makes sense? Yeah. Welcome to the land of the woke. I'm actually happy that she said what she said in a very unfiltered way, because now they can't complain and say that we're mischaracterizing them. Now they can't say that we are exaggerating their thoughts and their beliefs. Now they can't deny exactly where they stand. And trust and believe, this young woman is just one of thousands and thousands and thousands that believe the exact same thing that she just said. Now, she had the cojones to say it on camera. Many of them won't do it, which is why they wear masks and they cover their faces when they're ripping off kidnap photos and when they're at these rallies. But we all know exactly how they feel and what the underlining tone is, which is that Hamas shouldn't be condemned because they hate Israel that much. So when this whole bin Laden thing came out, the reason why it didn't really shock me as much, although it was appalling, it didn't shock me, is because I already knew how they felt about Hamas. And if they were willing to justify Hamas with their tone, why wouldn't they justify the September 11th attacks? If you can justify Hamas, the terrorist group, then it'll be easy for you to also justify Al-Qaeda, the terrorist group, because of A, B, and C, whatever justification they want to give. So I'm glad. I'm very happy that this young woman was stupid enough to get on camera and say what she said. And now the video has since been deleted, but nothing is truly deleted online. We know that, right? So that video will live on forever, as well as on my channel, because trust and believe, it's staying up on my channel. I don't care if I get demonetized or not, it's staying up on my channel because the world needs to see and hear exactly what these people think. What they won't say out loud, we're going to showcase it here on this channel. And you know, it's funny because this younger generation, I don't think they are thinking far enough ahead at the impact of what they're saying and what they're doing. Like, they are 110% on the wrong side of history. If you are justifying bin Laden and he now is your martyr and you sound identical to the crazy people who justified bin Laden back in 2001, if you are mirroring those thoughts and suddenly those are the good guys, you are on the wrong side of history, and that will not age well. And I really hope and pray that those future employers, when they do their background checks, will be seeing these videos of these kids running their filthy mouths about this country. There is no justification for that. None. Like, I dare one of them to go to a 9/11 survivor or a family member who lost their loved one on 9/11, and I dare them to go to them and say, you know, they died because bin Laden actually was trying to open our eyes. I hope you know that. Something tells me the mask covering leftists won't be saying that to anybody anytime soon, because they're scared little children who love to hide behind their mask, and they love being keyboard warriors. They have zero experiences in anything. They've been sheltered their entire lives, and now they get to run their mouths on social media and be social justice warriors. It's disgusting. So disgusting that I had to make an entire video on it, because I just could not believe the audacity of these children making bin Laden a freaking martyr, their hero. He's their Mandela. He's their Rosa Parks. And the sad part about it is that many polls show that most kids in their 20s and early 30s are getting all of their news from TikTok.
Now, between 2020 and this year, the percentage of adults receiving their news from TikTok jumped from 3% rather, up to 14%. The lion's share coming from young adults, with almost 1/3 of those aged between 18 and 29 relying on TikTok now for their news. Look at this graph. 18 to 29, 32%. And then even when you go into 30 to 49, it's basically 1 in 6 or 7. Go. I'm sorry.
Americans.
I can't even fathom the thought of that. Like, that is just insanity to me. But it makes sense why you have these clueless people regurgitating the same garbage. It's because they live on TikTok. It makes sense. And look, I want to make this clear as well. I understand that war is not fun for anybody, right? And that there's a lot of gray when it comes to conflicts, especially conflicts as long as the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This is not a black and white issue. This is not an issue that can be solved 1, 2, 3. It's not simplistic. It's complex beyond belief. There are experts that have spent their entire lives trying to understand this conflict, and even they are struggling. So I'm not sitting here and saying that it's a black and white issue. I understand that there are many innocent people in Palestine who are being killed, who are in the crossfires, and that breaks my heart. You know, I think anybody with a heart wouldn't be okay with what we're seeing on TV and the images. They're horrifying. But I blame Hamas. I blame the people that went into Israel on October 7th and decided to commit mass murder, knowing that Israel was going to respond. That's who I blame. The people who actually perpetrated the terror. But I'm not saying that I don't care about the Palestinian people who are suffering, especially those that are being killed, that are buried in rubble. Like, that's horrific. It is absolutely horrific, and I wish to God that this war could just stop and end and that there will be no more violence. But it's here. And what we can't do is try to justify the horrible actions of a terrorist group in order to affirm our feelings about world politics. You just can't do that. Now, these kids are doing it because they're getting away with it, but maybe not so much, because to my surprise, somebody has sent me a tweet, or an X, I don't know what to call it, and it revealed that TikTok was actually taking action. Surprisingly enough, TikTok was taking action against people who were posting pro-Bin Laden posts. And so now if you go on TikTok and you search Bin Laden or Letter to America, nothing pops up, because they've deleted every single video of users that were pro-Bin Laden. And this just happened 24 hours ago. In fact, the videos that I showed you today, you can't find on TikTok anymore because they were deleted by TikTok. So that definitely is a good sign that we're going in the right direction with TikTok, at least in this moment, because they took those videos down. Now, granted, maybe they took them down because they realized that half the people who are on that app are terrorist sympathizers, and that exposes their app. But nonetheless, those videos are down now. You can't find them. I wish more action could be taken, because in my opinion, if you are projecting love for Bin Laden and for terrorist groups, that makes you a threat to this country. That makes you a threat to national security. And I think the FBI should be looking at you and looking at your computer and watching you very closely, because clearly you are a threat to this nation. And you are a traitor to this nation, in my opinion, if you are spouting that garbage. If you are supporting Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda and you're celebrating 9/11 and you are calling Bin Laden somebody who's opening our eyes, you are a traitor and a dangerous person. And in my opinion, you do not belong in this country. Pack your bags and get out. But of course they won't do that, because the irony is they'll complain about the states, and they'll complain about the West, and they'll complain about the privileges that they gain from, right? They'll complain about it, but they won't leave. Of course not. Folks, we have reached the sunken place, okay? We have reached a very dark place in our history, and I don't know where we go from here. I pray and hope that we can survive this, and we can move past this, and we can educate these stupid children who are regurgitating terrorist talking points. God help us. I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to say we're at the lowest place right now. The only place is up from here. Gotta believe that. It's just sad. It's really, really sad. But like I said earlier, I'm also happy that they're exposing themselves. Everyone needs to see and hear what they have to say. You want to speak that garbage? Just know that everyone is going to hear about it, and everyone is going to respond. And yes, there will be consequences to your behavior. Trust and believe. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from responsibility, okay? Wow. I never thought in a million years I would have to make a video explaining why memorializing Bin Laden, probably not a good idea. Probably not. I'm at a loss for words, guys. I don't know what else to say. I'm disgusted. Just know that I will continue to make videos on topics like this. I will continue to expose people like the people in this video, not to trash them or to attack them, but to shine a light on how dangerous it is when you are indoctrinated by one app, or when you are indoctrinated by a belief system that infiltrates from the inside out. These kids are brainwashed, completely and thoroughly brainwashed, and we're seeing it in real time. And they think they're so woke. They're so awakened. They're so ahead of the times. No, you're an idiot. That's what you are, an idiot. And now the whole world sees. Anyway, guys, I'm sorry to bring the mood down, but I just had to talk about this because I didn't know what else to do. And I was like, I've got to vent to my people. I got to talk to my people. And you guys are my people. You guys keep me sane, quite frankly, in this crazy world. You really do. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to vent and to go crazy like I do in these videos. Because if I didn't have you guys, I don't know what I would do with myself. I really don't. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this situation. Do you think these kids are completely out of touch with reality, or do you think they have a point? I hate to say this, but if you think they have a point, I want to know why. Let me know in the comments down below. Be respectful, and let's talk about it. If you enjoy my content, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit my notification bell so you know when I post a brand new video. If you want to follow me on other social media platforms, I'm also available on TikTok and on Instagram under CurlyBoyChuck, when I am continuously being canceled for videos just like this, just for you. Guys, also pray for me because this coming Monday, I'm getting my wisdom tooth pulled. And I'm really scared. I'm really scared. Yeah, so that's happening. I don't know what the recovery process is going to be like. If I'm going to be able to even record a video in the coming days after. So crossing my fingers and my toes that I'll be okay. But say a prayer for your boy. Until next time, peace.